What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Reformed Reader, the channel where we review different forms of media through the lens of a Christian who is under the authority of the scriptures. My name is Josh, and today I'm going to go over my top 10 priority series for 2026. Now, I know it might seem crazy that I'm already talking about next year and am already planning on what I'm going to read next year, but I can already tell, for those of you that watched my recent video about what my priority books are for the remainder of this year, you know that I have a pretty stacked list for the remainder of this year. And so moving forward, I'm like, instead of me trying to cram everything into this year, I'm going to make sure that I prioritize these for next year because there's some pretty heavy ones, but I would like to get through them. So today we're going to go over my top 10 priority series for 2026, starting with number 10, which is the Songs of Chaos series by Michael R. Miller. This is one that I don't own yet. I think I own the first 2 or 3 books on ebook, but I do plan to pick these up. I was kind of waiting on the hardback editions for the Broken Binding to have them all in one go, which I will pick up at some point. I really like them, the way they look. I'm really intrigued about some Dragon Rider fantasy. It's one of those tropes that I can't get enough of. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Songs of Chaos by Michael R. Miller. Sounds really cool. Sounds unique, but familiar. All right, number 9 on the list is going to be the Tales of Tremaine series by R.R. Verdi. This is the first binding series. Now, I know only the first 2 books are out as of the time of recording this, but I was hoping to get to this year because I loved Name of the Wind. I know that there's some contention there, but I did absolutely love Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear, and I read those around the fall, and I've heard that these are so similar. I was really hoping to read these in the fall, but I just don't know that my schedule is going to allow me to finish those because book number 1 is a big thick boy. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to that one this year. So rather than me try to cram it in and just sort of like make my reading experience more effort than I would like for it to be, because I read for enjoyment, I read to relax, for entertainment, for amusement, right? I read as a hobby. I don't make money off of YouTube videos, surprise, but I don't want my reading to become like work. So rather than me try to cram it in for the fall, I'm instead going to push it back probably for next year. And maybe by then book 3 will be out. Okay, number 8 on the list is going to be the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan. This is one that I've had on my shelf for a while. I've heard that it's clean fantasy. I do know quite a bit about Brian McClellan as far as his relationship to Sanderson goes. And I know that this first trilogy, doesn't have any kind of gratuitous inclusions in it, that it's safe for me to read. So it's been on my shelf and I've just kind of been looking for the right time to read it. I thought I would get to it this year and it's just not really looking like it. So I've pushed it back to next year because it is just a trilogy and it's not a super thick trilogy, but I do want to give it the time that it deserves. So that is why Powder Mage is number 8 on the list. Now, number 7 on the list is going to be Combat Codes by Alexander Darwin. Now, this is one, I only own book 1, but this is one that I've had on my shelf for a little while. I heard about it maybe last year or maybe a year and a half ago or so when I know it was indie published and that it was picked up by Orbit Books. And after it got picked up by Orbit Books, I think it kind of took off a little bit. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I've heard it's sort of like Red Rising, but the author is a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which as am I. And they said the fight scenes lean heavy on the Jiu-Jitsu side. They lean heavy on the analytical explanation of these fight scenes. And while I understand why that might not be for some people, that sounds awesome to me. If you've got sci-fi, fantasy, and jiu-jitsu all tied up into one series, yeah, sign me up. So I'm really looking forward to that one. It just hasn't been one that has been jumping out at me to pick up. It has made me want to usurp something else on my list so I could get to it, but it just, for some reason, I just keep forgetting about it, even though it's sitting there on my shelf. But I do want to make it a priority series for next year. So that is why Combat Codes is number 7 on the list. Okay, number 6 on the list is another series that I don't own physically, but it's the Echo Saga by Philip C. Quaintrell. I know this series has picked up a lot of steam this year, and I know this is a huge series. I think there's 9 10 books, something like that. But I know that they're broken up into smaller trilogies and quartets and those kinds of things. So I'm going to say the Echo Saga, probably the first trilogy, but depending on how good it is, it may be one of those that I just, I keep grabbing. And so I do really like the structure of it, similar to how Robin Hobb breaks up her series into different little trilogies where you can kind of pick back up later if you want to. I'm really looking forward to being able to do that. I think I own the entire series already on ebook, but the hardbacks are so beautiful. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like my desire to buy books far outweighs my bank account. So I am looking forward to jumping into this one next year. I know it's got a lot of hype around it. It sounds really, really cool. It's got pretty much all of the stuff about fantasy that I'm looking forward to. And so that's why it has made it to number 6 on the list for next year. Okay, number 5 on the list is going to be Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn by Tad Williams. I actually started Dragonbone Chair late last year over audiobook, but it was so intricate and such a compelling story that I felt like I was going to miss something by listening to the audiobook. And so I decided I would really prefer to read these physically. So I just kind of put them on pause and I was going to read them this year. But as you can see, these are not short books. I mean, The Broken Binding had to split up book 3 into 2 volumes because they're so thick. But I will tell you, I read maybe 20% or so of Dragonbone Chair, and this is going to be excellent. Now, I know he has other books in and other series in this world, which hopefully I'm going to be on board with, but this is a priority series for next year. I mean, this is one that I've really been wanting to get to. Plus, those covers are absolutely stunning. So that's why I have it as number 5, because, kind of anything below number 5, like 8, 9, and 10, I do plan to get to those, but if I don't, it's not going to be the end of the world, right? I can push those back if I need to. I don't think I'll have to, but this one definitely is near the top of the list for me to read for next year. All right, series number 4 is going to be The Rift War Saga by Raymond E. Feist. This is these Broken Binding editions right here that you guys have probably seen me open on some of the YouTube shorts. This is the first trilogy in an expansive universe. These covers have just caused me to push these up near the top of the list. So much so that if book 1 would have been shorter, I probably would have prioritized it for this year because books 2 and 3 are so short. But I just didn't want my reading experience to be tarnished because I'm trying to get through these series just so that way I can, make time for these other things. It is a priority series, and I may even get started with it late this year. It really just depends on what the rest of my year looks like or how quickly I move through some of these books. But yeah, those Broken Binding editions are just so beautiful, and they just seem to keep calling my name, so that's why they are number 4 on the list. Okay, number 3 on the list, which I know many of you have been waiting on, is going to be the R'yr Revelations series. Again, I have them right here. Theft of Swords has been a thorn in my side this year. Maybe not a thorn, because that makes it sound like a bad thing. It's been like I've had it on the TBR and then it gets pushed off, and then I put it on the TBR and then it gets pushed off. I really do want to get to this. I've heard so many good things from everybody, from the biggest booktubers that you can think of, like Mike, but more importantly from you guys. You guys have just been like, you have got to read this because I know that you're going to love it, and I fully expect to. But again, I just want to make sure that I give it its due time and its due attention from me, because I do expect to love this series. I do expect to really, really dive into this world. And I also know me. I know that once I like a series, that I latch on to it and that I don't want to let go, as you guys can probably tell with Sun Eater. Once I start reading a series that just draws me in, I don't really want to leave it. It's almost painful for me to do so. And so I just know how my mind works, that I'm going to start with book 1, that I'm immediately going to have to read books 2 and 3, and then I'm immediately going to have to read everything else in the catalog. And so just to make sure that I give it ample time and appreciation, I have moved it back to next year. This is probably going to be a January 1st read for me, because the next 2 series I may try to see if I can sneak a book 1 in by the end of the year. I doubt it, but we'll see. But I do know that the Rhaegar Revelations is absolutely near the top of the list. And it was honestly, the top 3 on this list are almost interchangeable. But yeah, the Rhaegar Revelations books, I'm definitely going to be getting to and finishing that trilogy next year, if not in January. Okay, so this brings me to number 2 on the list, which is the Mother of Learning series by Domagoj Krmajic. Now, I do not know if that's actually how you pronounce it. I've just heard Patrick pronounce it that way so many times that I assume he is correct. I'm pretty sure he has done his homework on these books, but he has championed these books for years. And so I picked them up when they had the Kickstarter going back, 2 years ago, and they just slowly trickled in. And so I have all 4 books. It's complete. And I have been dying to get to these because from what I understand, it is a time loop story, and that the main character is at this magic school. So it is that sort of a magical academia type thing, but he's stuck in this time loop. I think it's maybe a month or a year, something like that. I can't remember exactly. So, don't stone me right yet, at least not for this. There's plenty of other things that I've done that are worthy of that, but not for this. But anyway, yeah, so I have the completed series, and I know that there's like this underlying mystery and things. Sounds just awesome. And I know that he's even said it's not like Harry Potter, but if you love Harry Potter, but you also love some of the more Asian inspired culture and those kinds of things, that you're going to love this. And so yes, the Mother of Learning is definitely number 2 on the list. It almost made it to number 1, but the reason why it hasn't, and you'll see in a minute, is because I think that I will get to book number 1 maybe in December. I hope to, because I've heard from several people, because I'm such a mood reader, they said these are excellent books to read in the winter. And so I was like, cool, sounds good to me. So I fully plan on jumping into book 1 in probably December, and then finishing the rest of the series out in 2026. Okay, and for number 1 on the list, this is the top priority series for me for 2026. I'm not sure when I'm going to start it. I'm thinking maybe around February or March, and I'm going to read 1 book per month. And this is The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. Yeah, this is one that I have had. I even own the sequel series, and it's been sitting on my shelves, and it's been calling my name for a long time. But again, this is one of those series that I know that once I start reading it, that I'm going to have a difficult time not immediately jumping into the next book. And so I want to give it ample time for me to be able to spend time and be steeped into this world, steeped into the characters and his writing, because I love John Gwynne's writing. Even though I was kind of mixed on the Bloodsworn Saga, his writing is phenomenal, and his battle scenes, to me, I don't think I've seen a writer write battle scenes as well as John Gwynne does. And also John Gwynne is just like a stellar guy. So yeah, this has been a priority series for a while, but this is absolutely number 1 on the list. This series will be finished pretty early in 2026, but this series usurps all others for next year. So guys, that's my top 10 priority series for next year. Let me know if I left something off that you've seen on my shelves and you're like, what about this? Because, maybe I got it wrong. But as of right now, these are my top 10. And let me know, what are some series on your list for next year? What are some things that you've been putting off and been waiting to get to? Or maybe you've started a book 1 and you just never picked up book 2 because you had other things come up. What are some of those series down below? Now, I will say there's some that I have picked up recently that I know have caused me to kind of push some stuff off. What are some priority series that you guys have for next year? Let me know down below, because I can always add them to my list, and I'm really looking forward to jumping in to some of these other ones. Plus, I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing what you guys have been reading, what you guys plan on reading, what worked for you and what didn't, and why. So yeah, leave me a comment down below. I love talking to you guys. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you on the next one.